Turn with me to the Old Testament, the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verses 3 through 8 and verse 20. Verses 3 through 8 and verse 28. In the book of Exodus, chapter 14, beginning with verse 3. Hear now these words. Pharaoh will think the Israelites are wandering around in the land in confusion, hemmed in by the desert. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will pursue them. And I will gain glory for myself through Pharaoh and all his army, and the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord.
All right.
So the Israelites did this. The king of Egypt and the king of Egypt was told that the people had fled. Pharaoh and his officials changed their minds about them and said, "What have we done? We have let the Israelites go and have lost their services." So he had his chariots made ready and took his army with him. He took 600 of the best chariots, along with all the other chariots of Egypt, with officers over all of them. The Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh of Egypt, so that he pursued the Israelites, who were marching out boldly. Verse 28. The water flowed back and covered the chariots and horsemen. The entire army of Pharaoh that had followed the Israelites into the sea, and none of them survived. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading of his word. I want to talk about let it go.
All right.
Let it go. So today's passage focuses on the children of Israel and the king of Egypt, Pharaoh. Many, when they read this passage, they focus on the obvious themes of the text. And those obvious themes and those obvious narratives, such as freedom, the fear of the people in the face of danger, the parting of the Red Sea, and the destruction of Pharaoh's army. So these are the obvious things in this text. But first, let me focus for a while on Pharaoh. Allow me to just help us to look at the king of Egypt.
All right.
I believe that there are some spiritual lessons here if we just focus for a moment on Pharaoh.
Okay.
Because Pharaoh has a problem that created this whole situation. The Bible makes it clear that Pharaoh let them go.
All right.
But the problem with Pharaoh is that he could not let it go. Pharaoh let them go, but he could not let it go. And it was only after a series of events that Pharaoh let them go.
Right.
You remember the old story where it says the first plague was that the Nile River turns to blood, killing all of the fish, collapsing the fishing industry. The next was the frogs that came out of the river and they overran the country. The next plague was the lice, and then the flies, and then the pestilence in Egypt that killed the cattle. The plague of the boils, the plague of the hailstorms, the plague of the locusts, the plague of the darkness, and then finally the death of the firstborn, which even killed Pharaoh's son. It was only after that Pharaoh said, "Let him go. Get them out of my life. I don't want them to be a part of my life anymore." So he let them go. Are you with me?
Yes.
I would suspect that if we really study this scenario of Pharaoh, that some of you are sitting in church today, yes, you've let some people go, but you haven't let it go. Are you with me? Sometimes, and we are just like Pharaoh, the Bible says that Pharaoh got to thinking about that thing. Pharaoh said, I have lost my livestock. I have lost my fishing industry. I have lost my land. And he said, although I have let them go, Pharaoh couldn't let it go.
All right.
I want to ask you, is there anything that you can't let go today? In April of this year, the executive pastor of the Mississippi Boulevard Christian Church was shot and killed as he was leaving his apartment. There, Reverend Brodus Perry, the executive pastor of a megachurch there in Memphis, Tennessee, in his 30s, leaving his apartment, had long gotten married, was shot to death while leaving his apartment. Later we learned that he was shot to death by an old girlfriend. And she said, you broke my heart. You see, she let him go, but she couldn't let it go. Are you with me? You follow me today? So Pharaoh all of a sudden said, look at all that these folk have caused me. I've lost my firstborn. I've lost my industry. I've lost a whole lot. And so finally Pharaoh said, let him go. Get him out.
Yes. That's
But
right.
he couldn't let it go.
Don't let it go.
So the spiritual lesson today in this text, as we look at it closely, is that all of us could have an it that we just can't let go. And the story is that if there are things in our lives that we can't let go, learn from the story of Pharaoh. Because Pharaoh couldn't let it go, he got all of his chariots together. And they pursued the Israelites all the way to the Red Sea and even in the sea because he couldn't let it go. The story ends by how it killed off his entire army. He couldn't let it go. He couldn't loose it from his spirit. The late Reverend W.H. Brewster pastored East Trigg Street Baptist Church in Memphis, Tennessee. Back in '81, he shared a story with the young minister that I'll just never forget. To this day, sticks with me. And in the story, he shared that when he first became pastor of East Trigg Avenue Baptist Church, and there was a lady that was just really mean to him. And Pastor Brewer used to say, I don't know what I ever did to her. But from day one, she was mean. 10 years fast forward into that pastoral relationship, he tells the story that she was still mean. 10 years later after pastoring, he said the only thing that he could do was to avoid being around her because he didn't understand why she was so mean. She became ill, and her daughter called him to come visit her mother. And he said to the daughter, are you sure that your mother wants me to come and visit? And she said, yes. He said, in fact, Brother Pastor, she asked that you come. And he says to the young ministers there at the National Baptist Convention Congress, and he said, I was reluctant to go. He said, I was reluctant to go Because there was a part of him that also couldn't let it go.
All right, all right.
So he showed up and was escorted up to where she was at. And she said to him, while ill and not long for this world, she said, Pastor Brewer, I owe you an apology.
All right.
He looked and said, I'm even more puzzled now than before. She said, Pastor Brewer, I know that I've been mean to you. I know that I've been harsh towards you. And it dawned upon my spirit, why? He said he sat there waiting to hear why. And she said to him, you look just like my ex-husband. She said, not only do you look like her, you act like her. And she said, ever since I saw you, you reminded me of her. And she said, and I hate her. Earl left me to raise 3 children all by myself. Got up one day and he walked out on us and he left me to raise these children all by myself. I would hear of him gallivanting around Memphis and the news would come back to me and she said, you look like her. What she was really telling him was, although I let Earl go, I didn't let it go. And the it that I didn't let go ruined all of my other relationships. Listen to me. If you're not careful and you keep holding on to it, it can destroy you. It can sicken you. It can make your spirit rot from the very inside. Pharaoh couldn't let it go. Pharaoh got to thinking one night and he said, these folk had my fish in the Nile killed. These folk had my firstborn to die. These folk had my cattle to be killed. Can I get personal? Yeah. You could say that Negro did such and such. Can I bring it from Pharaoh and walk down the streets of Roar for a minute? She did such and such. And he did such and such. And although you let them go. Oh, I'm almost finished. You're looking at me. Couldn't let it go. Now let me insert this another thing as we walk through this text. It's interesting that not only could Pharaoh not let it go, but Pharaoh spread his germ. The Bible says that not only did Pharaoh get to thinking about it, and he said, but the officials got to thinking about it. Now, nobody is going to go against the king, so if the king says, we're going to go get the Israelites, then everybody else, kind of a Trump mentality, is going to say, we will do it as well. So, they follow. They follow. Can I get personal? Can I get personal? I know it's Clergy Appreciation Month, and hopefully you don't fire me. But can I get personal? Have you ever experienced that sometimes because maybe you can't let it go, that we bleed our struggles on to someone else so that they cannot let it go as well? Have you ever met somebody and all of a sudden they're looking at you crazy? You know you hadn't done anything, but maybe you ticked off one of their friends. And their friends can't let it go. through bad relationships. Baby mama drama. Baby daddy drama. Mama don't like daddy. Daddy ain't too hot about mama. They done left each other, but they hadn't let it go. And so what they do, they entice the children. Say, your daddy ain't no good. Daddy may have been great to them, but the issue is not them and daddy. The issue is that you can't let it go. Daddy is upset with mama and says to the children, look what your mama did. He can't let it go. Are you with me?
Yes.
I'm too bad. Let me hurry on because I know y'all ready for me to sit down. I get it. Pharaoh couldn't let it go. And because he couldn't let it go. Now I know what you're saying, Pastor. You say, well, Pastor, the Bible says that God hardened his heart. When you read it in the Hebrew, you read something a little different. In Hebrew, it says that God already knew his mind. And God did not change his mind. In other words, God says, I'm just going to let him do what he already has decided to do. In other words, I'm going to harden his heart because he is so angry until he will harden his own heart. Is anybody here? When you think over the pain of your life, the struggle and the trials of your life, the disappointment of your life, yes, you can tell me, Pastor, I have moved on from those people. Yes, Pastor, I have let them go. But the question is, have you let it go? Because if you have not let it go, it will fester and fester and fester. And your spirit will not be whole. Preach, Pastor. It will fester and fester and fester. The question we have here today is life will always beat us up. Life will always bring us challenges. Life will always have ups and downs. There will always be things that you must let go. But the real question is, you may have moved on from the situation. You may have grown up from a dysfunctional family. So you have let the dysfunctional family go because you have grown up. But have you let it go? You may have had a bad work experience or a bad relationship, and you've moved away from it. You've let them go. But have you let it go? Several years ago, I counseled a lady who was in an accident. She was in an accident in Detroit. And the accident was really a freak accident in which someone was hurt. But they'll be hurt and crippled for the rest of their lives. It was no fault of her own, but just literally, you talk about the perfect storm of an accident. And years later, she was still struggling with it. The issue was she couldn't let it go. She couldn't let it go. There's some people that have been hurt by family and friends, and although those people are no longer in your life, but that experience still drives you because you couldn't let it go. You see what happened to Pharaoh? His whole army is now in the bottom of the Red Sea. You see what happened to Pharaoh? His whole kingdom has been destroyed. You see what happened to Pharaoh? Not because they did it, but because he couldn't let it go. How many folk are in jail today? Because they got so angry, they got so revenge-filled that they couldn't let it go. How many marriages are struggling and they cannot even be restored because the pain, someone is holding on and they can't let it go. The Pharaoh in all of us. But the tragedy is that if we walk down the Pharaoh path, it shows you that it leads us to destruction. That's why our foreparents used to say, I must tell Jesus all about my trials and all about my struggles. I cannot handle these burdens alone. I must tell Jesus. Because if not, you may let them go. But the question is, the it in your life, are you still holding on to it? Is it still gripping you? Reverend Brewster told the story that although the lady hated Earl, and although he looked like Earl and had mannerisms like Earl, and she let Earl go, but she didn't let it go. Reverend Brewer asked her the question. He said, now, how long had this been? And she told him that all the kids are now grown. It had been over 30 years. Because she couldn't let it go, she could never reestablish another relationship with another man. She never would allow anybody to get close to her. She never would allow anything to impact her. All because I can't let it go. I'm here to tell you, church, that you can sit in church all day long. You can even raise your hand and thank the Lord. You can shout. You can do a lap around the church. But at some point you must say, Lord, fix my heart. Because if there's some things that you just can't let go, you will never be whole. And if you're not careful, those very things, as what happened to Pharaoh, is that it drove him and his army into the Red Sea. I don't know who I'm talking to this morning, and the Lord laid this sermon on my heart on Monday. I was working on my sermon and just laid it on my heart. And maybe there's someone here in this congregation. You've let some people go. You've let some things go. But you haven't let it go. And that it, if you're not careful, will destroy you spiritually. If you don't say, Lord, help me to deal with the it of my life. Help me to deal with the it's in my life that I struggle letting go. Maybe it's what somebody said to you. Maybe it's what somebody did to you. Maybe it's how someone made you feel. Maybe it's how you were not included. Maybe it's because of being raised in a dysfunctional family. Maybe it's because of being a part of a bad and hostile work environment. But at some point, you got to let it go. At some point, as long as you hold on to the it's of life, you will never be able to say, God, in spite of what happened, you've still been good to me. In spite of what someone tried to do, you have still been good to me. You've still brought me from a mighty long way. Is there anybody in church today that, Pastor, when I think about where I've been, the Lord has yet been good. The Lord has yet provided. And the Lord has yet made it. Pharaoh, the Bible said he got thinking about it. He said, I ain't letting him get away. The Nile River turned to blood. Think about it. I know some of you right now If I were to say a certain name, it would send you in order. Hey, just think about it. Can we just do a Pharaoh routine? I just say a person's name. I ain't going to say Pookie because that's going to send you into a certain name. I'm not going to say her name. That's going to send you in order. I won't do it. But let's talk about Pharaoh. Pharaoh said the Nile River was turned. Pharaoh said, because of them, frogs were all over the land. Pharaoh said, because of them, I lost cattle. Pharaoh said, because of them, my firstborn died. Pharaoh said, look at all that I've lost because of these people, or this person, or this situation. And he got to thinking about it. You know what happens when you start thinking about it? And you start dwelling on it. If you're not careful, you'll have Deacon Smith and Sister Weston over the house. Thinking about it. You'll have Reverend Dr. Ruger over the house. If you get to thinking about it. You'll have Cousin Switchblade in the car when you get to thinking about it. The Bible says that although he let them go, he couldn't let it go. And it was the it that consumed him. It was the it that drove him. It was the it that destroyed him. We have no indication that he was a praying man at all. But what would have happened if he'd have got in the habit of turning over that it to the Lord? What would have happened if he said, Lord, I cannot bear these burdens alone. I cannot handle the stress. I cannot handle it. But I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm going to turn it over to you. Is anybody here that's turned some things over to the Lord? And you've seen the Lord fix you and him. You see, sometimes you want the Lord to fix everybody else but us. That's right. Pharaoh couldn't let it go. How many times have I talked to folks upset with their brother, their sister, upset with parents, upset with relatives, for things that they just can't let go. In case you missed it, you're not getting any younger. In case you missed it, every day that goes by, you're getting older. In case you missed it, because I know you want to carry the it with you. You want to birth it. You want to give it infamil. You want to give it life. You want to put pampers on it. You want to buy it clothes all the time. At some point, my brothers and sisters, don't be like Pharaoh. Let it go. And let the Lord work it out. And let the Lord fight your battle. And let the Lord make a way out of no way. And stand and say, look where he's brought me from. Brought me from a mighty long way. Pharaoh. And the story ends. The story ends in verse 28. And it says, and all of the chariots and all of the men were swallowed up in the Red Sea. And the Bible concludes that passage by saying, and no one. Pharaoh was the only one. And no one survived. Why did they die? Because they couldn't let it go. I don't know who I'm speaking to this morning, but there's a reason the Lord laid this passage on our text today. Maybe you're in church and you say, Pastor, You just don't know. You don't know what happened. You weren't there. You don't know how I feel. You don't know the circumstances. And I will be the first to admit, no, I don't.
Yes.
And I could also say the same thing to you. Because I too have some it's in my life that I have to say, Lord, help me to let it go. I also have some broken-hearted experiences that I have to say, Lord, let it go.
Amen.
The young lady in Memphis, a court date was this week. They had her on the news. The commercial appeal had a picture in the paper. And they had her words that she said to Pastor Perry before she shot him. You broke my heart. She couldn't let it go. Now she's at best facing life in prison. Worst scenario, the death penalty. Couldn't let it go. Dr. Brewster tells a story of a man, Earl, who left this lady many, many years ago. Hurt, pain. But look at how much she's robbed herself of ever having a wonderful relationship with someone else. Literally closing the door to someone else that God may have sent into her life. Why? Because she couldn't let it go. You know, sometimes we think that we're over it just because we let them go. But the story of Scripture today is a Pharaoh who let them go. But he didn't let it go. He still dwelled on the issue, the pain, the challenge. And some of us can be in church right now. You're sitting here right now. Maybe you too are starting to walk down memory lane. You're sitting here right now, and maybe you're saying, Pastor, please don't go there today. I ain't up for that. I ain't well for that. But I'm here to tell you, if you want to grow spiritually, if you want to grow closer to the Lord in a very genuine way, you got to let it go. There's some things in your life you got to let go. And let the Lord speak to your heart. Grandmama used to tell me that, boy, you got to love everybody. I used to say, Grandmama, some folk just aren't lovable. And she said, but boy, you got to love everybody. I understood how she could get to that point. She lived to be 99 years old. But she learned to not only let them go, but she said, Lord, clean my heart so I can let it go. I believe you're in church today. I believe that this is just not a by chance moment. As the Lord dealt with my heart this whole week on this passage. Kevin, don't look at how they crossed the Red Sea. That's what everybody wants to know. Don't look at how Moses stretched out his rod and everybody just came across the Red Sea. But there's another lesson in this passage. That this lesson really is the lesson of calamity. And it's about Pharaoh. He couldn't let it go. He let them go. But he couldn't let it go. Because he couldn't let it go, robbed him of his nation. Robbed him of people in his life. Robbed him of his joy. Let it go. Our foreparents said, let the Lord fix it. Let the Lord help. Your job is, Lord, I don't want to live my whole life bitter. I don't want to live my whole life a prisoner of my past. Because yes, if you keep living long enough, and there's some witnesses in this house, there's going to be some pain in your life. If you You might say, but Pastor, I'll let them go. That's what Pharaoh thought. And then he thought about it. The Bible says, and now when you think about it, and she changed his mind. Can I be real for you? I can only imagine that Pharaoh said, them so-and-sos, I'm going to go after and get them. They don't know who they're messing with. That's the 2019 Pharaoh. That's the hood Pharaoh, Southside. And it destroyed it. It destroyed it. It kept eating away and eating away. And it destroyed it. So now what does he have? His arm is gone. His treasure is gone. He sits on a throne all by himself. His son is gone. His wife is gone. He let them go. But he couldn't let it go. The doors of church open for you right now. If you're in church today and you say, Pastor, I don't have a church home. I don't have a place where I can grow spiritually. We extend the invitation for you to become a member of Progressive Baptist Church. If you don't have a church home, you say, Pastor, I have no place where I can grow spiritually. I speak to you today. The Lord wants you to be in fellowship. You're here today. You're here today. The Lord is speaking to your heart. Wants you to be in relationship. The doors of the church are open for you right now. While we are taking this young family in, we're also opening up our prayer line. Maybe you're in church today and you say, Pastor, you're right. I have some it's in my life that I struggle to let go. I have some things that have happened in my life and I'm struggling. Maybe you've let the scene go. Maybe you've let the people go. But you've not let it go. If you're not careful, it'll make you down, depressed, and sad. It'll make you angry. I want to pray for you because I believe that God has placed this message in our heart today for you. If you're here today, I won't ask you what the it is because you know. I just want to pray for you and pray with you. The altar's open. Would you come? Would you step out from where you are and come down for prayer? Because see, if you're not careful, the words and the actions of Pharaoh speak to all of us. You gotta be real careful. You gotta be real careful. Pharaoh couldn't let it go. He couldn't let the pain go. He couldn't let the disappointment go. He couldn't let the hurt go. And because he couldn't let it go, it festered, festered, festered. Some people still hurting. Still hurting from a dysfunctional family. Still hurting. Still hurting from how they treated you at the job. Still hurting. Still hurting from a bad marriage, a bad relationship, bad friendship. Still hurting. At some point in your life, maybe it's your children hurt you, crushed you, disappointed you. Maybe it's your spiritual family. But at some point, if you don't understand the lesson of today's text, be seated. You may be seated. We are happy to have Danny and Rebecca Moore. Amen. We've got Savannah and Stella as well. All right, amen. So Savannah is, I did a good job of putting this. And they are coming to us on Christian Experience. Would you stand? You accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, is that right? And you are ready to become members of the Progressive Baptist Church, is that right? Is there anything you'd like to share with us? No? Okay. All right. My brothers and sisters, they have accepted Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. They're coming to us based on Christian Experience. And how do we welcome them in?